Unfortunately, despite efforts to reach out, we did not receive a reply back from MPP Jill Dunlop, which I guess is all over the news that they're not really engaging in any form of debates. It's all door knocking. So, and the Libertarian did not have an opportunity to provide written answers, which was a little bit of my fault because I had a hard time getting a hold of him. I had a wrong email address. So I do have responses from Jody, but we will be hearing from Chris, Walter, and Dave Brunelle tonight. Before we begin, just a few housekeeping things. If everybody can just keep their microphones and their videos off, it will help with the bandwidth. And if there's any technical issues, please try rejoining the meeting. I'm monitoring admitting people in. If we have time at the end of the meeting, we will do maybe a question and answer period, but it seems we have 7 questions in total, 3 minutes for each candidate to answer the questions, and we'll move forward from there. And this is for the candidates, once you hear the questions being asked, a timer will go off when you start to speak. We'll just do kind of a round robin on who's going to speak to who goes first with each question. So you'll hear a warning, a bell go off at 2:40, and you know to wrap it up because you'll probably have 20 seconds to hit the 3-minute marker. So I will now turn the floor over to Steve Barber. Steve, take it away.
All right, so we'll give each candidate 2 minutes to give a brief introduction of yourself and perhaps a little bit of your platform, and then we'll get into the questions. So I guess just because it's on my screen here, we'll start with Chris.
Hi, can you hear me? Excellent. My name is Chris Carr, and I'm the Green candidate. I'm asking for you to vote. I'm from Victoria, BC, the heart of Green country. I've lived in Kitchener, I've worked in Guelph, and I've helped Green candidates win. I live in Penetanguishene with my wife and 4 children. I have autism spectrum disorder. I don't interact with people the same as neurotypicals. There's eye contact, body language, and speech differences. It does come with powers of concentration and seeing the world differently. My differences help me see solutions others might not. An MPP's job is to find solutions that helps their neighbors. I'm a problem solver. I've solved problems in government before. I created software to track wildfires, water bombers, and the crews that fight them for the BC Ministry of Forests and the Alberta Ministry of Natural Resources. I digitized and standardized K-12 curriculum for the BC Ministry of Education. And I created child safety and injury prevention app using federal and provincial open data and presented it to federal ministers. I love volunteering and helping others. I've supported refugees and newcomers access government and nonprofit resources, education, job search, and employment opportunities in Ontario. I volunteered with Habitat for Humanity to build affordable homes, and I've mentored young women and helped them explore careers in technology. I'm here to listen, I'm here to help, and I'm here to be your independent voice for Simcoe North. Thank you.
All right, great. Thanks, Chris. And we'll move on to Dave.
Great. Thank you very much. Welcome, everyone. My name is Dave Brunelle, and I'm the new blue candidate for the Simcoe North riding. I'm a 6th generation from Simcoe North and raised and currently live in LaFontaine in the township of Tiny. I'm a husband, a father of 3 men in their 30s, and a grandfather of a 3.5-year-old boy. I'm a graduate of Wolf Laurier University with a major in economics. I have 40 years experience in various industries, including construction and hospitality, 30 years of community coaching, and 20 years being a small landlord. All of this in the North Simcoe area. Over the past 2.5 years, I've been representing the residents of Tiny as a member of council, as well as sitting on various committees and attended several provincial conferences. The reason why I'm running is, like many residents of the Simcoe North riding, I became increasingly frustrated with our current government's fiscal irresponsibility, lack of integrity, disregard for accountability, and government policies driven by unelected bureaucrats, lobbyists, and special interest groups. We need to do politics differently, and I'm committed to that change. In the first election of 2022, the New Blue Party became Ontario's 5th largest political party. Since that election, there has been 7 by-elections, and the New Blue Party garnered more votes than the Green Party in 4 of them. And as of today, the New Blue Party has candidates in 108 of the 124 provincial ridings in this election. Thank you.
All right, thanks, Dave. And Walter, we're up to you now.
Thank you very much. My name is Walter Alvarez, and I want to, first of all, thank the Resident Association for putting this together, and my fellow candidates, who all of us are giving so much without getting anything in return, seemingly, but it's because we care, and we find satisfaction in serving in different ways. So kudos to you, and a big thank you to the Residents Association. I also want to thank the attendees. They could be doing something else, but they're here watching us. So my personal background in terms of the way I look at it is I'm applying for a job. So I'm going to give you my qualification. And I hate saying good things about myself, but because I'm applying for the job, I highlight my all my qualifications. So on an academic level, I have an MBA. I was a graduate on top of my class. Well, I was second in the class because I was the salutatorian. So I was second to the valedictorian. And I got that MBA at Cape Breton University. And then I'm also a PhD candidate at Royal Roads University. I received multiple scholarships. I'm specializing in healthcare access. I'm very passionate about people accessing healthcare because I volunteered with a cancer patient at one point in my life that he was here in Canada, in Toronto, and he didn't have the right immigration paper. So I begged the Stephen Harper administration for help on compassionate basis, and he denied it. And that letter with the Canadian flag in it, the Canada flag in it, it amounted to a death sentence for that person. So that is why I embarked in the philosophical studies and advocacy. But I also have 10 years of experience with the federal government of Canada in different professional capacities. And I also am a bit of a filmmaker, an amateur filmmaker. So I have a YouTube channel where I talk about my learning disabilities because 2 big elephants in the room. I have learning disabilities. One of them is the PTSD that I suffer from the things that I saw in the war when before I left my country. There was a war and they killed my brother. But so going back to the advocacy. So yeah, I created that channel because it helped me express myself and communicate with other people with learning disabilities or that have lived under the tyranny of a dictatorship. So that's my background. Now, my core motivation is not only that person that died in my arms of cancer, but as I kept studying the issue of healthcare, I found out that he was not alone. Many people are dying today, and Canadian citizens are dying because they're being neglected by a healthcare system that is in shambles. But see, healthcare system is not a person. It's the people in government that are neglecting it. And we need to reverse the course entirely because it is our national treasure, in my view. And according to what I've studied, it can be saved. But that's why I'm doing this. My vision for Ontario is one where healthcare access is more accessible. And as the word says, right, healthcare access, accessible, but in a speed and dignified manner for all parties involved, the patients, but also the doctors. We need to not overwork them so that when they work, they're refreshed and they can do the best thing to save lives and to cure you, right? But we need to treat them right as well. So in short, that's why I'm running. And also, the last elephant in the room is that I'm a Christian. I believe that Jesus is Lord, and he has taught me about loving one another, forgiveness for enemies, and it may not resonate with some, but I believe in being truthful. So there you go. And I think that's it for my intro. Thank you.
All right, thanks very much. Janet, do you have something from Jordy?
I do not have anything from Jordy.
All right, so we'll get to the first question, which is how will you and your party work to reduce the tax burden in Ontario, regardless of household income? And I think we'll start with Dave can start this one.
Great, thank you. Yes, reducing the cost of living is by far the number one issue for Ontario voters. There was a recent Fraser report that outlined that 43%, 43% of what average Canadians pay of their incomes is a cost of living. Taxes. And second at 35% was shelter and food. That's obviously got it flipped over. We're paying way too many taxes. So what the New Blue Party will provide is provide immediately tax relief by cutting Ontario's HST from 13% to 10%, with the long-term objective of scrapping the HST entirely. We also, actually, our leader was the first to coin the axe the carbon tax several years ago, and it's being adopted by other parties now. So we want to axe the carbon tax, including the federal Liberal government's carbon tax and also the Ontario PC's government's industrial carbon tax and carbon pricing system. Yes, we are pro people. We want to make sure that we provide as much disposable income for people. So we need to reduce the taxes and maintain the services that we have. But there are obviously some government efficiencies that we can look at to maintain levels and also provide tax relief. So, thank you.
Excellent, thank you.
All right, so then we'll move on to Walter.
Thank you very much. So let me briefly tell you that there are two schools of thought with regards to economics. One to the extreme right, like Doug Ford. Hello, folks. Let's give your billions to the billionaires, because that's how the economy gets better. And I'm not a good actor, but the point there is that he believes that all our money, if we surrender it to the billionaires, it eventually trickles down. It's the trickle down economics. And I think somebody has their microphone still on because I can hear the echo. Anyways, I'll continue. So at the other end of the spectrum is the spend. Let's help the poor without thinking about the consequences of spending money irresponsibly. And I disagree with both notions, because politically and economically speaking, I am at the center of the spectrum. So the way that I think we need to act to alleviate poverty is to act comprehensively. And that's what we're proposing. We're proposing tax cuts, in particular to middle income earners, and that will cause them to save about $1,100 per year instead of the $200 bribe that Doug Ford is giving us all during the election. This is something that is sustainable, and that it's going to put money in their pockets, more than $200, $1,100, and it would be year after year. Also, we intending to eliminate the HST on things that we consider a human right, or something that basic necessities, at least. I consider them a human right. But let's discuss policy. They're basic necessity in our view, and that's hydro and electricity, because they're you need them for their survival. So if we slash the HST on that, you're going to see tangible benefits. And also, we're going to index the low income tax credit for people in Ontario. Indexing, it's a fancy word that economists use for simply meaning when due to inflation or hyperinflation, the prices go up, then your tax credit should go up. And that's the way Bonnie and I are approaching this in a very intelligent manner that it's sustainable and it helps the people. And lastly, we are also going to do a tax cut for small businesses. We intend to reduce that by 50%. So that's going to encourage businesses to operate, to expand, to hire more Ontarians in our region. And that economic prosperity will be combined with the prosperity that we will be creating by giving the individuals tax cuts and help if they're in disabilities. We're going to double the income for people in disabilities. Right now, they are below the poverty range in terms of income. I don't know how they're doing it. They have to probably eat just once a day with the money that they get. So we are going to offer to you, the voter, a holistic approach to economics, and one that is backed by data, by science, one that we know will work. All you have to do is do the right thing and listen to your heart and vote what's in your heart. Thank you.
Thank
Okay,
you.
great.
Now,
Jen,
just,
go
sorry,
ahead.
just a quick question, Steve. Walter, did you hear the timer go off?
Oh, I'm sorry, I did not.
Okay. I just wanted to make sure. I didn't want to cut you off, but I just wanted to make sure you could hear the timer. So that's fine. I'm going to set it. It was only a couple seconds. Well, I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, my apologies.
That's okay. No, no, no. Okay. Sorry, Steve, you can take it away again.
Did you want to read
Absolutely.
Jordy's response? Then we'll move on to Chris. So everybody
Sure.
has the last word at some time tonight.
Okay. One of the main reasons taxes seem to be rising consistently is a deliberate misapplication of existing revenues. Decades of downloading provincial rolls has placed the burden on local government, resulting in the need for local tax increases. Now, the provincial folks can claim they never raised taxes. They can claim they lowered taxes, but in reality, all they've done is shift it from Peter to Paul. The local reduction of local support allows the PC government to provide immense tax breaks and subsidies to industry, developers, and their donors. It's done nothing to help the average Ontarian. Remember, Ford is wasting billions on the Greenbelt scandal fees, $2 billion on the Science Center, $2 billion on the spa prep work, the Observe Highway Tunnel concept, fighting nurses in court after cutting their pay during COVID, handing out $3 billion for voter bribes. If we allow this money for services that Ontarians will actually use to build a better Ontario for everyone, if we tax large profitable corporations such as Loblaws appropriately, when we recoup enough to provide the types of services we expect from the government for people. $3 billion in voter bribes, $2 billion in preparing Ontario tax place for sale, the millions in costs for moving a perfectly fine science center so the land could be developed. $180 million for this unnecessary election could provide each person in North Simcoe with a family physician, provide repairs to our schools, and support for our hospitals. All of this could be done without a rise in personal taxes. Just remember, a vote for Ms. Dunlop is a vote to continue this mismanagement of our hard-earned dollars.
Okay, great. And Chris, to you.
Okay, so how will me and my party reduce the tax burden in Ontario regardless of household income? We'll spend tax dollars more efficiently. With the only fully costed platform, the Green Party has amazing smart spending social programs like preventative care and wraparound housing. These programs will use your tax dollars more efficiently, so we won't waste your taxes. Another thing to look at is collecting more corporate taxes from corporate tax dodgers. Canadians for Tax Fairness estimate $30 billion in corporate tax went uncollected in 2021 alone. Interesting idea might be empowering forensic accounting companies with a commission to go after corporations that are dodging taxes. This would ease the burden on property and income taxes. Thank you.
Okay, awesome, thanks. Do you want me to go on with the next question?
Oh, sure. As a resident of Tiny, our municipal government is overreaching with initiatives resulting in larger taxes and restriction on people's private property. How would you and your party work through the Municipal Act to improve governance at a municipal level?
Oh,
Who would like?
yeah, I think we're going to start with Walter, just to keep it all even.
Okay.
Thank you very much. And if I can request, in case I don't hear the sound, somebody tells me 10 seconds when I have 10 seconds. Anyways,
I'll raise my hand, Walter.
I appreciate that. So just a quick mention to Chris that your information is out of date. Bonnie Crombie has brought out the costed platform, so it's already available. But I like you. Your heart is in your right place. You didn't know. And you're here, which is, we cannot say the same for the Jill Dunlop or the NDP candidate. But okay, moving on. Review and reform the Municipal Act is what we'd apply in this case. But this is something that it's very complicated for those who are not involved in politics. It's not just like, okay, day number one in Parliament, and I will single-handedly reform the Municipal Act. It takes a lot of work and a lot of consensus, but I personally believe that it needs to be reviewed with respect to what's happening locally in your towns, with the overreach and the, I don't know if the building that's going to cost $50 million, I don't think it was the question, but I'll answer it anyways. I'm entirely against it because since the time of Socrates in Greece, and as the democracy kept evolving, and all the political philosophers of the Middle Ages, everybody agreed that a politician is an advocate, somebody who speaks for the rest of the people, right? So when the politicians do the opposite and they silence the people and do whatever they want, that is considered a tyranny. And I'm not calling anybody in particular. I'm just saying academically, if we go by the textbook definitions. So now back to the present. What would I do? The first thing I do is, and I already promised to the Federation of the Shoreline Association Townships, there is a federation, and I already gave my word that the first act, and as soon as I win, would be to call a meeting with them, because I need to understand the facts and their perspectives. And once I do that, I would call a meeting that is with more people involved, including the councillors. And this is the beauty of politics. This is what I would, I would leverage David's help in council so that we can bring this issue together and stop wasteful spending. Thank you.
Okay, great. I'll read out Jordy's. The Municipal Act has forced a GTA mentality on rural Ontario. She lives in Aurelia and she sees the pressure placed on local governments to expand, the type of expansion that makes sense only to accountants and actuaries, instead of allowing local residents the opportunity to build their vision of their hometowns. The MA allows the province to dictate and mandate without providing the required funding. One way I believe to rework this is to require the province to cough up at least 75% of the cost of any mandate they will send down to local government. This could be changed in Queen's Park with a successful members bill. Okay, and on to Chris.
Hi, yeah, I work in Tiny, and I think we should force a more transparent and open municipal government. The Integrity Commissioner and the Ombudsman should be helping with these issues. I gave a deputation recommending listening petitions and to hold a referendum at the Tiny Town Council earlier this month. I would also looking into making a standard municipal recall where voters can petition for a referendum, similar to acts that are in place in California, where you get 50% of the voters in the last election. So that number, anyways, that number of votes to sign a petition that would start a referendum. Thank you.
All right, thanks. And Dave.
Great, thank you. Excuse me. Elected officials must be held accountable to the people they serve and uphold their duty to listen to and represent their constituents respectfully, transparently, and in a lawful manner. For this to happen, I would be an advocate for an open public meeting to occur at least once every 3 months to answer questions from constituents. The New Blue, one of the principles, they have 9 principles, and number 6 is a belief that this is best to achieve healthy democracy is best achieved by providing equal opportunity to participate in a competitive market economy that rewards initiative and innovation, values ethical transactions, protects private property, and ensures security and privacy. Just to deal with the restrictions on people's private property, we want to protect those rights. One of the changes to the Municipal Act that I would highly recommend and I would support is that due to the fact that council members are now voted to a 4-year term, which up until 1955 was a 1-year term, then it went to 2 years, then it went to 3-year term, and then recently down to up to 4-year terms. And there are decisions that are made that are irreversible. I would suggest legislation that would allow for a by-election when 70% or more of the constituents who voted in the previous election sign a petition calling for the resignation of council members. So very similar to a recall act. I would recommend 70% so that it's worthy to do it. It's not just on a whim. We had half the people. I believe it should be 70% of those votes. So that's one of the major changes to the Municipal Act. And there's others, but due to lack of time, I'm not going to get into others. But yes, we need to ensure healthy democracy by putting that recall act.
All right, great. Thanks very much. Move on to question number 3. Other than the ER at Georgian Bay General Hospital in Midland, there are no walk-in clinics or family doctors accepting patients. How would you work to attract more family doctors and nurses to North Simcoe? And I will start with Jordy, which Janet, I guess you're reading out.
Well, that would be me. Okay. So, first of all, let's look at the voter bribe could provide for North Simcoe. While both liberal and conservative leaders bear the responsibility for the decline in healthcare and long-term care, the present government has been especially vivacious with the tax on services. I'll try to put this into perspective for North Simcoe. In North Simcoe, about 55,000 people are currently without a family doctor. More than 4 million Ontarians will be without a family doctor by 2026 due to retirements. This is according to the Ontario Health Coalition. The recent voter bribe of $200 per person could provide over 18 million in funding just in this riding, enough to encourage a family physician for each person without one. Instead, the province is paying out OHIP funds to private clinics, at almost double the rates to pay existing practitioners, further diluting the available funds to ERs and other services. Not to be outdone, the Liberals allowed for a $3.2 billion repair backlog to accumulate, according to the HCC data. Today, a quarter of Ontario hospitals are in poor condition and clinics are forced to close. NDP brought you universal health care. The NDP government at Queen's Park would begin the process of restoring that health care by decades of disruptions, by efficiently using existing tax dollars for your overall benefit. The NDP would, 1, invest $4.5 billion over 4 years to recruit and support 3,500 new doctors. Expand healthcare into Northern Ontario by hiring 350 doctors, including 200 family physicians and 150 specialists. Increase residency seats and licensing opportunities for international educated doctors and healthcare workers. Establish a legitimate, safe nurse-to-patient staffing ratio to make sure that the patients can get the care they deserve. Scale up the nursing workforce with hiring at least 1,500 nurses over the next 3 years to ensure safe staffing ratios. End the alliance for private nonprofit nursing agencies that are costing Ontario healthcare systems hundreds of millions of dollars a year. It's time to start applying your tax dollars to make your life better, not to make the rich richer. Ask your MPP Jill Dunlop what have they done in 7 years to prevent further erosion of healthcare. Except you can't. She's not there.
Okay, thanks. Chris?
Yeah, hi. I'm here to listen. A constituent, Simcoe North constituent, and a supporter who is a doctor reached out to me, and I asked a similar question about primary care, and I'll read his words. Underpaid. I worked in the USA, I would make almost double. Wages haven't kept up with inflation, cost of living. We cannot raise our prices, hence the enforcement of fees to patients. Paperwork burden. If you have a secretary, EMR, insurances, and God forbid a nurse to your salary, your salary is probably 80 to 100,000. Not complaining, but my American family docs make 400,000 plus and work half the time with less tax burden. My point is, if you want doctors, they need to be paid properly. And he goes on about nurse practitioners. You could increase the amount of nurse practitioners, physician's assistants, etc. Some communities have provided free overhead doctors in an attempt to recruit them. Free overhead for doctors, sorry, attempt to recruit them. And then he says, I can't even get Jill Dunlop to answer emails since September. And I'm listening, and this is what the doctors are saying. Thank you.
Okay, Dave?
Yes, great, thank you. I believe the physician recruitment program was working well. Kudos to Dave Gravel and that team and others. And we should, as municipalities, encourage them to work with our partners such as the Economic Development Corporation or Simcoe to attract. We live in a great region area of Canada, and so that shouldn't be a reason why they shouldn't be coming here. But the root of the problem is that the system is broken because of the supply-demand gap across all health professions. Demand is way too high for health services. Supply is way too low. A recent Health Canada survey report states that Canada is facing a shortage of nearly 69,000 healthcare workers. A shortage of 69,000 healthcare workers, and the shortage will get worse due to population growth and early retirement. We need to embrace private healthcare that focuses on preventative practices to alleviate the demand on the public system. New Blue Party will rehire the nurses and healthcare workers fired as a result of COVID-19 mandates. Clear the backlog of procedures by offering choice in healthcare services, including private healthcare options, and reallocate funding to healthcare from government-funded programs such as the Green and Climate Change initiatives and corporate and political party subsidies. The private healthcare system has been in place in Ontario for decades and is here to stay. Japan, Switzerland, Germany, and Sweden have integrated health systems that are successful. So we can have that working here in Canada also. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Walter? Oh, you're still muted.
Healthcare access is the subject of my dissertation. It's not finished, but I'm working on it. So it's my area of expertise. And essentially, the first thing that I would rule out is privatization of anything, because I've studied systems that are privatized, like our neighbors to the south, which culturally are similar to us. But in that system, the suffering is applied disproportionately to the poor and along racial lines as well. But ultimately, to everyone who cannot afford a doctor, you can expect to die there. And if you're lucky, somebody will take mercy on you and pay for treatments, but it's very unlikely. So going back to Canada, here, I believe that healthcare access is our national treasure. We need to protect it with everything we have, and we need to stop whatever privatization is happening right now. So to answer the question, in order to solve the problem, we're guaranteeing 3,100 doctors by the end of the term, by 2029. And we're also creating 2 medical schools. That's part of Bonnie Crombie's plan. And also to accelerate the integration of 1,200 internationally trained physicians. And here is what I would add my personal touch to all those things that she's doing. I would recommend that we provide financial incentives. We could call them a hero bonus for doctors and nurses that are willing to relocate to Simcoe North. And that would alleviate the problem, not in a macro manner that we have to wait years for, but it's something that we could implement, in my opinion, within months, very likely. And you would start seeing results very soon with that. But for that, the voters have to do the right thing. And lastly, in terms of health, I would, and I'm sorry, I'm timing myself, so I see that I have 30 seconds, invest in mental health. Because in my opinion, mental health is health. We cannot separate the issues just because it is classified as something that cannot be seen, essentially. You got a rash, it can be seen. You have a mental disorder, cannot be seen on the outside, right? So I would join them together because we need to care with people with any kind of mental health issues and be part of the same thing. And my time is up. Thank you.
Okay, great. Janet, do you want to read the next question?
How would you keep Simcoe North an affordable place to live while maintaining the natural environment and the beauty that draws people here?
Chris, you're up to start. That works out.
Hey, the green plan is to build 200,000 and 220,000 multifamily homes in partnership with nonprofits like Habitat for Humanity. The homes will be built in existing residential areas, protecting natural spaces and farmland, and thus protecting the beauty in the environment. Thank you.
Dave.
Yes, being growing up in a rural region, it's we have to strike a balance between rural and urban. They're very different on the way of land use planning. So we need to and the provincial policy statement that just came out encourages that, where the growth zones are going to be in urban. So how do we? Sorry, yes, urban. So how do we do rural? Sorry, did I say? I grew up in a rural region. Knowing that we need to protect our environment as much as we can, with striking a balance between that and growth. The way we want to grow in a rural setting is not so much density, but what we do here actually in Tiny, and a lot of the rural municipalities is promoting additional dwelling units, so that that's the way to alleviate some of the housing crisis that we are in right now. But not enough people know about it. So I want to promote that a lot more so that people can be aware of it. New Blue supports reducing housing costs also by increasing the housing supply. We need to increase the housing supply. How do we do that? It's by supporting legislation that provides a direct route to evict tenants within 30 days of not paying rent and causing property damage. This will bring back the small landlords and attract new ones offering long-term rental housing. A lot of small landlords are not involved with that market anymore. They'd rather be into short-term rentals because they don't have to deal with the tenants, long-term tenants. Reducing the long-term housing supply. So that's driving housing up. So there's some pros and cons on short-term rentals. Obviously, it's an issue here in Township of Tiny. But it's more of a provincial and national issue also. So bottom line, we need to protect the environment in rural settings. The growth can happen in urban, but we also have ways in our rural settings to provide more housing, and that's through additional dwelling units. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Hey, Walter.
Thank you. I'm timing myself. Sorry about that. Okay, so let's start by the environment. I want to tell the audience, the voters, a little bit about me, and I'm part indigenous, not 100%, but part of the region of Guatemala, of the Maya people. And I have the DNA test in case a smart reporter ever wants to see it. But the reason why I mentioned that is because we're taught to love our land. The land is our friend. The land feeds us. The land gives us trees that gives us air. And we sometimes ravage it and sometimes do it for the sake of profit. And I'm mentioning this because this is what I believe in my heart and as a part indigenous person. And to protect it, now as a politician, we need to go back to the basics. Essentially, what we need to do is, number one, stop the sell-offs of our sacred land. And sorry, I use the word sacred because to me, all green land is sacred. We need to protect it. But I was referring to the green belt and the land swaps that Ford exercised. And then he said he had to reverse the course, right? But he didn't do it out of the goodness of his heart. And that's what people need to understand. It's because there was an Auditor General report and also the Integrity Commissioner that detected lack of transparency, to say the least. Who knows what else they found? Because the fact that the RCMP, which is the federal police, is investigating the deal, and there are also lawsuits accusing people close to Ford of taking money for preferential treatment in the land swap. So we need to stop that. We need to treat green spaces as sacred. As my people see it, indigenous people everywhere have that in common, that we love the land and we love to protect it. But in terms of affordability, we don't believe in I don't believe in simple solutions. Perhaps because I'm a PhD candidate, or perhaps because I suffer ADHD, the adult version. So I don't see the world like most people see it. Or somebody sees a tree. I see leaves. I see what's underneath the leaves. I see the spaces at the cellular level, which make it more empty space than anything. And yet to the naked eye is green, because I see many things that other people don't see. So what I'm getting at is that if we subsidize businesses, oh, I'm almost out of time, the economy will grow and it will help with the poverty issue. Thank you.
Okay, great, thank you. Now we'll read out Jordy's response. This is a pristine area with developing only mansion-style homes and extensive clusters of tiny townhouses. We have turned it into a suburb of the GTA. We cannot stop the development of housing. It's critical it is a critical state because of funding cancellations. What we can do is judge each development and expansion plan in terms of the effect on long-term health of our environment, the next several generations, and our essential tourism sectors. We also need to assess each proposed development in terms of affordability for the average person, not just the GTA retirees. If we look forward instead of only to the next monthly dividend statement, we can develop plans to provide incentive and also protect the reasons people want to move here in the first place. In general, the NDP would double the OWODSP to stop people from losing their homes, acquire and build over 250,000 affordable housings through co-op and non-profit builders, legalize and build fourplexes and four-story multiplexes, introduce new legislation to ensure that the province is prepared for future extreme weather events and disasters. If we don't deal with the climate disaster, this will affect housing, lead to food shortages, and eventually have a massive effect on our economy. I personally tend to be an active listening representative. To make this scenario work for all parties requires dialogue and achievable goals. This has been absent. Again, look at the past decades. The cancellation of affordable housing funding under the Conservative government has left us with a hole to fill. Maybe it's time for a change to someone who's on your side. Okay, and we'll move on to the next question. Are you supportive of the building of the Administration Center, and what are your views on the consultation process to date? What is your position on the amalgamation of TinyTRA, Midland, and Penetang? I guess we're back to Dave.
Great. I'm sure if you've been paying attention to the Township of Tiny council meetings, I don't have to really say much about this. You know where I stand on it. I'm also in a position where it's a fine line where I represent the people, but I also have to accept the decision of council. So the only thing I'm going to say about the building of the administrative center is that the process, you mentioned the process, would have been more acceptable if the TTAC committee meetings were open to the public from day one. They were open at the beginning, but in 2018, they decided to have them closed to the public. The public needed to be engaged throughout the whole process. At the meetings, even if they were just there to witness the decision making, would have helped this situation that we're in today. Part B to the question is, what is your position on the amalgamation of TinyTRA, Midland, Penetang? In my opinion, there's good things about amalgamation. There's some bad things about amalgamation. This would be a perfect example of a referendum issue. This is a really big deal, and it needs to be put out put it out to the people. The question I could point out my position about it, but it should be best decided by the people who's going to basically going to have the effects of the amalgamation. But also saying that we might not have a choice between amalgamation or not. There are other municipalities throughout Ontario that have been amalgamating. What I would recommend is getting reports from those municipalities on amalgamation and see if there were good things about it and there were bad things about it. I could see the urban centers saying they're good about it, but the rural probably are not in favor of amalgamation. So against the rural urban divide, and this is a very serious topic, and that needs a lot more consultation and reports. Thank you.
Okay, great. On to Walter.
Thank you very much. So, in regards of the building, as it stands, I'm against it because I received contacts from individuals and organizations that have explained to me that there was little consultation of on the matter, and that the council, with the exception of Dave here, it's not very accessible to bring their ideas forth. So that is just a clear example to me of not good politics, not good politicians either. I don't judge anybody at the character level because only God knows what's in their heart. But actions are fair game in politics, and to deny a citizen the sacred right to be heard, it is despicable in my opinion. And I'm not attacking anybody in particular, but I'm saying that because of that, I am against the construction of this building. And what I would do if, should I win as MPP, is make sure that I meet with the parties involved, but primarily with the citizens. And there is a federation that organizes people, and anybody else who resides there could go to the meeting. That would be my first act as parliamentarian, so that I learn a bit more about everything that happened, how it happened, and then I would request a meeting with council. They're not obligated to attend, but the ones that care for the community will attend. I'm sure Dave will attend, and discuss further about the building. Can it be stopped? What would be the cost involved, etc. Right? But they're here to serve you, not the other way around. It's not for them to just have the fancy title and then shut the door. That's not how democracy works. That's not how it works in my book. And with respect to amalgamation, there are several views on it, many advantages. For example, centralizing services and saving money that could be applied to reducing taxes. So I like that. But it might erode the culture of smaller towns. So I agree with David that this serious issue would need to be consulted. And I disagree that I wouldn't do it via referendum, but we need to have many town halls in many places to discuss it, because it will have impact. Municipalities are the ones that deliver services that people use, and that's the first point of contact for citizens with the government. So thank you.
Okay. Jenna, do you want to read out Jordy's reply?
Okay, sure. As for the construction of the municipality center, that should be a decision of the resident taxpayers of that municipality. However, based on some issues arising from the sewage discussions, for example, I would be more than glad to serve as a neutral mediator to assist in bringing a solution that serves all of the affected areas. Of course, the decision will be brought to Queen's Park and the relevant ministries as needed.
Okay. Chris?
There we go. I think we need to listen to the people. I want what the people of Tiny want. And this is what Mike Schreiner said. I think, yeah, I agree with Dave a little bit. Holding closed committee meetings are a large part of the problem. But I also think another part of the problem is the huge future tax burden. The ombudsman found that the administrative center committee was not actually a committee that's subject to the rules, the open meeting rules of the Municipal Act, because there was less than 50%. Sorry, less than 50% committee members, and I don't see why that's a rule. The ombudsman also says on their website, when in doubt, open the meeting, and I agree with that. And there's 7,800 reasons to doubt. And if the ombudsman finds an issue, they can make recommendations, but it's up to the council to accept them, implement them. I think the ombudsman has no teeth, and I think we need to give him teeth. As for the amalgamation, I haven't looked into it too much, but I think Tiny has heritage status, and they might want to look into that before amalgamating with the other municipalities. Thank you.
Okay. All right. Thanks, everyone. We're pushing up against 8 o'clock. So I think if Janet agrees, we'll just go on to closing remarks, if that works with you. Okay.
That sounds
And
great.
Back to my list here. Who's first? So we get to start with Walter.
Thank you very much. Let me just get ready. Okay. Sorry about that. I want to speak directly to the people of Simcoe North and look at them in the eye. But I'm hoping that it's a two-way street where they can look at me in the eye, and I hope that they can see the essence of my compassion, my love, my dedication, and that I want to be your humble servant. In Christianity, we learned that whoever wants to be the greatest among you must be your servant first. That's what the Holy Book says, and I believe in it wholeheartedly. So I know I've been the smallest, and I am the smallest in many instances, but I want to be your servant. And what you get in return is somebody who has an extraordinary high academic achievement. With my PhD candidacy, there is a scholarship named after me that helped a poor student in need. And the MBA, all the things that I mentioned before. But that's speaking to education, but I also have the experience in government, 10 years of professional experience, and I have the advocacy experience. Because after all, the job that you're hiring for is for somebody to speak up for you. And on the right, we have the incumbent who I never seen her disagree with Ford. And how can she be your advocate if she never disagrees with the decision maker? That doesn't sound like a good advocate. And an advocate is somebody who speaks for you. And if we look at the left side of the political spectrum, Jordi, I like her as a human being. I can tell that she's got a good heart and she's going places, but this particular job that we're applying for is not where you can send notes to represent what you're thinking. You have to speak up. And I know it's nerve-wracking and you get more experience, right? But the thing is, imagine looking at Doug Ford's face. You have to speak to him, and I'm dying for that chance. If you give me that chance, voters, I want to say to his face how mistakes that are made in policy, they result in human deaths, in Canadian citizens dying. So we need to fix the healthcare, and it's urgent. So I'm appealing to you voters, hire me. I am the right person for the job because it's not a 9 to 5 for me. It's a lifelong dedication that I've already dedicated a good chunk of my life in an intellectual level, trying to understand how healthcare works. And it is fixable, but we need to change the course. So I hope this resonates with you. So I'm not even going to ask you to vote for me. I ask you to look at me in the eye and ask yourself if you believe me. And then your heart will tell you what to do. So that's all I have. And if I'm elected, uh, with God as my witness, because I love God more than anything, I'm not going to let him down. I'm not in the business of letting anybody down. Quick story: I got rejected from my PhD program because of my learning disabilities. Another one gave me the chance, and I just been one of the best students. I transcended academia into global projects. So what I'm saying is I'm not in the business of letting people down. I'm not going to let you down. So now is the time for you to make the choice. I hope you make the right one. Thank you.
Thank you.
Great. Chris.
My name is Chris Carr, and I'm asking for you to vote February 27th. MVPs are elected to represent the concerns of their constituents. Do you feel Jill Dunlop has represented your concerns? I'm running as the Green Party candidate to represent your concerns. Green Party candidates don't have to vote with the party. We can vote with our constituents. One of the Green Party values is participatory democracy. In the previous election, 46% of Simcoe North voters turned out, and that's a record low. The non-voters won. 17% of voters gave the PCs 100% of the power. I want transparent government. I want citizen-sponsored referendums, and I want proportional representation. Have your voice heard. My name is Chris Carr, and I'm not asking for $1,000 per plate cash access. I'm asking for you to vote. And I'm also asking you to come join me tomorrow at Test Batches in Midland at 6 p.m. for a meet and greet. Thank you.
All right, great, thanks. All right, Dave.
Yes, thank you. The people of Ontario are sick and tired of the usual election rhetoric from the four established parties telling people what they want to hear during an election, not doing what they said they were going to do once elected, and spending their way out of the problems to stay elected, which we all know leads to higher taxes. The New Blue Party of Ontario will be guided in its constitutional framework and its 42 policy declarations that you can find on their website, and by 9 principles, 2 of them being a belief that the health and well-being of society is improved by strong families in which parents are the primary educators and caregivers of their children. And second, I believe that government works best when there is a clear division of powers and when it avoids intruding on those functions better served by individuals, families, voluntary associations, religious groups, local governments, and the private sector. The New Blue of Ontario was formed to offer the solutions necessary to ensure our province's future is one of hope, opportunity, and prosperity by renewing accountability, promoting meritocracy, providing tax relief, and growing Ontario's economy. Join the New Blue movement run by everyday Ontarians, uniting to challenge Ford and the Trudeau-aligned PC party. I ask for your vote on February 27th and support the New Blue Party in order to balance the narrative and to shape the future of our riding and our province. Thank you, merci miigwech, and may God bless the people of Ontario.
All right, I want to personally and on behalf of the association, thank everybody for coming out tonight, specifically the candidates who we got to know more about. It's very helpful, and we do need to get more educated. Jen, I believe this is going to be recorded and be able to be seen by more people. Hopefully we can spread the word so more people can hear what everyone has to say, because that's the most important part, and educated constituents or make better choices. So, all right.
Absolutely, 100%, Steve. This recording will go to YouTube, and we will be sending out a link to our members, as well as putting it out to a few social media sites to get more Tiny residents engaged. I'd like to thank all the candidates for taking the time to speak, to show up, and provide the answers to the questions that matter most to Tiny Township residents. Your insight, has been great, and it's greatly appreciated. And I guess to all the people who are on the call, are the Tiny Township residents, thank you. Your voice matters. It's important for you to get out, vote. And I know you're here because you're tired of not being heard, and I'm just happy you showed up. Take a look at TinyTRA, to become, I guess, more involved with politics in the area and see a balanced approach. So thanks, everyone, and get out there and vote on the 27th. Have a great night, everyone. Thank you so much for your time. Bye for now.